Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast.
We're all set up here down this creek bottom. Bean Buck's been in here a bunch of times, so good chance to see it on him.
Meh. Smoking. I think he just crashed, bro. Absolute money, dude. It's 76 degrees out. We just set up 80 yards from a buck and killed him at 18 yards.
Here we are. We're set up on this creek that's been absolute fire for the last 8 days. We know a shooter went in here to bed this morning.
Meh.
Smoke his ass tonight.
Get it? That was at 8, dude. That's at 8.
Bucked out October 28th. Homie's up for the rest of November. But absolute incredible season. Both kills on hanging hunts, right on the beds, and just making it happen.
Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast, coming at you at 11:17 p.m. Central Time, recording this intro. GarageBand had an update, which I had to download, which was not expected. And then I had to set up all my settings to be able to import from the mic and everything. But today I talk with the Born Again Bowhunting podcast. They have a podcast, they have a YouTube show. This is a different podcast. I really, really enjoyed it, though. Tied into hunting and life and just friendship. And if you're looking for some Christian-based, good hunting content, these are going to be your guys. It was a really fun conversation with them. I'd actually talked to them a couple years ago, and just a really good group of guys. They specialize in a whole bunch of different fields, and a really, really fun podcast. It's going to people make this possible, get on the show. Well, the year is getting close to the end, guys. We're wrapping up. If you're looking for some Christmas gifts, I wanted to throw out there the Exodus. If you're looking for a cell cam, you want to get the Exodus Render. That's a really, really good option. But if you're looking to get your husband something or maybe get your wife something she's wanting to start getting into hunting, check out the new MMT arrows. You can custom build those arrows for the bow that she's shooting, and that arrow is going to shoot out of that bow way better when you tell her, hey, I'm shooting a 45-pound bow. They're going to set the spine up. They're going to set the tip weight up for you, the arrow length, everything to get the best shooting ability with those MMT arrows. So that's something I was thinking about with Exodus is maybe you want to get your wife some new arrows for Christmas if she's getting into hunting or already hunts, or your girlfriend or whatever. It'd be great to get her some of them MMT arrows and say, hey, babe, I got these arrows custom built for you. They're specifically built for you and your bow. Add a nice little added feature there, maybe to get some brownie points going into the late season here. If you're looking to get your bow fixed up this off season, don't forget to check out 330archery.com. Boy Tony over there, he'll hook you up. It's a great time to get your bow set up. I'm going to get new strings put on mine this year from Tony, hopefully. Get it lined out. I don't know if I'll send it to him directly or if I'll just have him custom make me some and I'll put them on around here. One or the other, it's going to happen. Get some new bow strings on. But if you're in the market for some broadheads, check out Afflictor broadheads. They have everything that you're going to need, from a fixed blade to a hybrid to a mechanical. Small diameter, bigger diameter cutting. They all fly very true. That's one thing I do absolutely love about those is the fixed blade that flies extremely, extremely true. So those are just some quick Christmas gifts that I was thinking of that would be pretty good, whether you get yourself or whether you get someone that you love, your buddy, your wife, your girlfriend, whatever. But let's get into the show. And like I said, this one's a little different, but I think you guys are going to enjoy it and maybe open up your eyes to some new stuff to think about, and let's do it. Here we go. All right, guys. Well, we got a mixed bag on from the Born Again crew. We got Zach, Matt, Kevin, and Jarrett. How you guys doing tonight?
Great. Good. We're living the dream, boys.
Yeah, we you guys were gracious enough to have me on your show, and I went on there and rambled, and I love returning the favor, and so I said, what better time? We're already all together. We can just knock it out, and I can get another week off you guys for content. I I'm kind of glad we're doing the second one on my show because I feel like we're loose now. We're in the goods. We're in the good stuff. So
Listen, boys.
I was trying to bring some good content for you guys', and now I feel like this is just going to be a ripper here. But all right, we'll start off with Zach. Just go ahead. We'll go through the line. Go ahead and introduce yourself real quick, so kind of the people can get recognized with your voice here.
Yeah, so my name is Zach Cromer. This is a bow hunting and hunting podcast, and I don't do either. So that's funny enough. But I used to hunt when I was younger, but I'm the bow technician in the group. So I do target archery full time. I have hunted in the past. I'm just joking. But yeah, so I do all the guys work on bows. I do the tech videos for our group. I do all the free labor for all my friends. So they just come over to my house for 3 hours, and I just get them shooting. You. I get them shooting bull holes. You need a friend who's a bow tech because things happen out in the woods. You just call your best buddy. I had a guy come over. It was like 11 o'clock at night. It was my old friend, and he was hunting with Kevin, I think, actually. And he's like, "Hey, I gotta come over." He dropped his bow at a tree stand. I'm like, "Yeah, come on over." It's like 11 o'clock at night. But yeah, and then like I said, I do target archery. Pretty competitive. I do a lot of stuff in Ohio mostly, and then I try to travel to some national events and compete with that. Not a pro yet. I don't know where that's going to take me, but I just consider myself a high-level amateur that has been doing bow work for like 10 years. So that's me, and I'm just the free labor on the team. So that's more than that. I know, but I do have one episode. I went on opening day with Matt like 4 years ago, and the highlight of that was us eating snacks out of the tree. That was the highlight. Get you back. So you just need to shoot like the first 80 inches. I will. I will. Take me out. All right, let's do it late season. Let's do it. Sounds good.
Yeah, I take my boys out. They just don't comprehend that you can go hunting and not bring snacks with. You have to. If we're dove hunting, squirrel, it don't matter. They're like, we gotta get the snacks. We gotta get the food. Like, we're gonna be out there for weeks. I put up a story on my Instagram during early bow season. I got my kids out in the blind, and I told them, go get some stuff. And it's like they brought a variety, dude. There's like 18. I got them all lined out. There's like 18 different things that my kid packed in his backpack. He carried it the whole way out. So I was like, I don't know what's in there. He gets in there, just keeps coming out. I'm like, wow. So
is that leftover meatloaf?
No. Dude, he bought 3 pieces of pizza wrapped up in aluminum foil.
Pizza.
I'm like, he's eating cold pizza out there. I'm like, whatever, dude. Cool.
Hey, Dad, where's the microwave?
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, we'll go to the next guy. All right, so I'm Matt. I founded this. It originally was Instinctive Passion Outdoors, and it was probably 4 years ago. Yeah. We just started with YouTube and like social media. Actually, started with just Instagram, and then we kind of grew into YouTube. Kind of jumped at first on YouTube. We got some traction. Kind of slowed down a little bit, but why did we get traction? One of our buddies. We killed a giant, a couple giants. Yeah, and that helped. That helped a lot. Helped a lot. But since then, we've kind of been slacking on the giants. So the traction's kind of gone down. We're just living because now these guys are like, yeah, they don't know how to kill deer. They got lucky. Yeah. And but yeah, so Matt, we changed names. We rebranded. Last year? Yeah, last year. And we're now Born Again Bowhunting, and we're just trying to have more of like a positive message, and we want to share the light of Christianity and what it means to be a Christian hunter and a person, and so that's me, and we'll go to the next guy.
Kevin Berkey. I'm probably they just asked me to be part of their group this year, so I'm probably the oldest intern they have ever had, almost 31 now. So, but I just enjoy it. I have a blast with these guys, and then picking up our podcast, that's been a lot of fun too. Yeah. So that's me.
Yep. So Jarrett, just got married this year, and my wife is pregnant with our first kid. So
Wasted no time, boys.
yeah, yep. So I'm excited for that, and this is my second year with the Born Again guys. It's a blast filming, hunting, going to different states. We love it all.
We try.
We try.
Well, right on. Sounds like you guys got a good roundabout crew there. Like we mentioned, we had Matt on a couple years ago, and then we actually met for a quick spell there at ATA show. Wasn't it ATA?
Yeah, you were with that Broadhead.
Yeah, the Broadhead company. Matt, we had to pretty much stay at the booth. Matt was having some really bad health problems, so we were there trying to do our best. Fairly new and into the actual sales of a product, but just trying to do the right thing by him. Really solid dude, and trying to help him out in the time of need he had there at ATA show. But it's crazy. You got like, guys that you've watched on YouTube for years that do reviews and stuff coming up. Well, how does this work? And I'm like, oh God, here we go. Is there any cameras around? And like, I'm going to explain this to you, but it's not going to be. And then Matt would come back from whatever doctor's appointment, or he had cancer, so he was having to use the bathroom like a lot during that time period with his medicine and stuff. So he'd come back and then he'd just like nail it. And I'm like, I got to pick up like two things that he said, so the next guy that comes up, I can kind of piece together it a little better. But yeah, we got to meet there. And I don't know. ATA is always such a blur, man. I don't know if we met any time after that, but
I think twice. I think 2 ATAs is where we've hung out a couple times, but that's it.
Yeah, that
and
place
then,
is.
COVID shut it down one year, and then like last year we didn't go because it was all the main brand bow companies pulled out.
Yeah, we didn't go. We didn't go last year either. I might go this year. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, I want to go this year with everybody. I think that'd be fun.
Oh, dude, it's as fun as you want it to be. It could be.
Whoever hasn't been to ATA, it is. I guess am I the only one in this room? Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't gone.
So ATA is like just the mecca of.
Yeah.
It's so much fun, dude.
Yeah, it's a lot of. I really like to go there as myself with no intentions of doing any business or working any booth and just rip. Like that would be fun. But the third day of working a booth, man, it's especially how excited you get after you leave the show in the after hours. That it depends on how hard you go of how hard that third day is going to be, because the first couple years, that third day is brutal. You're like,
hard to wake up in the morning.
Oh yeah, it's hard to. You went to sleep at like 2, 3.
Lucky.
Yeah. So, but I might head down there this year. I'm not sure. I found a really good way to get in. If you guys, anybody out there that wanting to go to ATA show, that's a very effective, cheaper way to get in. Hopefully ATA isn't listening to this. They're gonna shadow ban me and be like, you can't talk about that. So, but yeah, anybody that wants to go, message me and I'll let you know how you can get in for extremely cheap.
Personal message me.
Yeah, personal message me.
Yeah. It's funny.
Say this is not about ATA, and then I'll answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate you guys coming on the show. I really appreciate you having me on your show. I know that you guys do a lot of travel hunting, and there's a ton of topics that we could cover in this. The main thing that I wanted to cover was I really like your rebranding. I feel like in life we kind of changed our outlook and how we do stuff. Like a few years ago on this podcast, we had no kids. Like we had 1 kid, 2 kids maybe, and we had a lot more free time. We drank a lot heavier on the show. We partied a lot more, and now I don't ever drink, man. People probably listen to this show and they're like, it's not the same, but I've come to, to things that are important in my life, like, doing the right thing, leaving a legacy. I try to say that every podcast, not as, a way to close that, because I got Whitetail Legacies out. I've been saying that for, forever. So I got that to close it out. But it's something that I feel like if you go after that in your mindset of, let's just try to do the right thing in everything in your life, life's a lot easier. So I kind of wanted to go into, you just touch base on your rebranding and the mission behind that. And then there's no telling what we'll get after that. That's the main message of this is if you guys can do it and you're running a show and you can rebrand because your priorities changed, then anybody else out there can change mid anything, So go ahead and touch base on that.
So I'll start it, but then I also want you guys to jump in too,
Absolutely.
I don't want to be the only one talking on this, but so I'm Matt, like I said earlier, kind of started this thing. Originally, it was Instinctive Passion Outdoors, and we actually grew traction quite fast.
It was fast.
Yeah, I would say.
Within the first 2 years, we
first
gained
2
a lot.
years, we killed a couple of giants, and it really jumped. And then the year after that, we kind of had a slow spell where we killed good deer, but they just weren't giants. And we really didn't have a message to the show. It was just kind of like we'd film our hunts, and we just kind of did it because
something to do.
It was something to do with our buddies, and everybody got together. And then we all got together one evening, and we're like, man, what can we do to better ourselves? Cromer was one of the OGs, the Instinctive Passion, and we kind of just talked one night. And we're like, man, we should be doing something with this content, because we were getting thousands and thousands of views on YouTube, and I was like, man, even if we touched 10 people, what could we do to better their lives or even better our own lives, and kind of make it accountable on us, So then we started the Born Again Bowhunting thing, and it took us a while to think of a name because we wanted it to be meaningful and we wanted it to be something that people could remember easy. And one thing that I regret from Instinctive Passion was whenever somebody asked, hey, what's your YouTube channel? I told them Instinctive Passion Outdoors. No one knew how to spell instinctive, and they never remembered what it was. And it's the truth.
It's true.
They were like, what is it? And I was just remember IPO or
IPO.
IPO, yeah, and then that'll help. And then nobody ever remembered who we were or what we did. But changed our name to Born Again Bowhunting because of the Christian concept of being born again. We don't preach scripture by all means. I don't want to do that, but we just try to live a positive, lifestyle on camera.
Yeah.
Where, we're openly. It kind of like Seek One in a way. Lee talks a little bit about how he's openly a Christ follower, and not saying we're copying Seek One by all means. I'm just comparing it. We don't read out of scripture or anything. We're just Christian dudes that hang out. We're sinners like anybody else, and we're not perfect, but because of Jesus who died on the cross for us, we're saved. And we just wanted to kind of spread that with people. Spread that message.
Yeah, and it's just as Christians, we're just thinking about we're here and we're on camera. We might as well spread that message in one way or another. And it's and we're talking about our faith, and it's hard to talk about your faith just to random people from day to day. So if you can just do it with your buddies and get this message across to, hopefully thousands of people, that's for us and what we believe.
That's the ultimate goal.
Right. For what we believe as Christians, that is why we are here on earth. Right. So that was kind of the idea. And what Matt says, have a purpose for this. We're not just running around like a bunch of idiots just shooting a deer. There's a purpose to this, and we can, show positivity, like Matt said, and have a message that we believe in too. So that's what that change was.
And I mean, one thing that definitely stood out to me, when we first started talking and I joined and everything, it's changing your YouTube name. It was pretty successful. I mean, start to something that's Christian based. It was clearly not you were doing it to be we'll get more views,
right?
Because
actually, it was the exact opposite.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
because I mean, unfortunately, in the world we live in, that doesn't do anything for you on like
Yeah.
a social media standpoint.
Yeah, it
and
pushes you down actually.
Yeah.
100% you were right. Like we didn't get pushed. Our algorithm dropped. Like it
Yep.
was very hard.
it was not for any social gain,
Nope.
but it was literally just because it was what you wanted to do, and it was what you wanted to portray to everybody. That
Yeah.
I mean, it was just definitely drew me in for sure,
Yeah.
and I know Kevin as well.
That's it. Yep. Exactly.
But it was just is a great thing to do, and
Yeah.
and I think it's made a difference in all of our lives, and I know for a fact some of the people that we've talked to, it's made a difference in theirs, just to see the way that we act, and like you said, we're not perfect, and we don't say we are when we never will.
Yeah.
But it's a great thing to portray, and it's something that we have a lot of fun doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, huge shout out to you guys for, taking the step when that step is it's not frowned upon, but it's definitely
Right.
like you said, it's hard to talk about. It's not something that
Yeah.
a lot of people are openly talking about. And it's a brave thing to do, but it's the right thing to do. You got to do the right thing. And what better way for me, to have you on to as many listeners as I can to say, hey, don't be afraid to do the right thing, because a lot of times the right thing is scary, or it feels wrong because everybody else is doing the other thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's tough to do. And I really like that you guys have kind of the community. You're you're almost like a small group, like a Christian Bible small group, but you're like a small group of bow hunters. Like
Yep.
if I had that around here, that would be incredible for me. I'm openly about my faith. Been Christian my whole entire life. Try to instill those values in my kids, but my values are a little different than I think than some people. I believe it's okay to have a good time as long as you do the right thing, along with the good time. So that's what I've always been about, is try not to put people down, no matter what the message. And I'm really happy that you guys come on and you could put this message out there, because anybody that's listened to this and is looking for someone to connect to, because I don't feel like there's very many people in that category like you guys just mentioned. There's very few people that are in that segment of, this is what we're doing it for, and this is what we want to get across. So big props to you guys. I didn't really have a plan for this podcast, other than getting this message off. But as you guys were talking, I kind of had the idea of kind of going through, maybe the hardest thing that you learned as a bow hunter or as a hunter, and then the hardest thing that you've learned as as a life lesson. And I feel like if you're putting stuff out into the the podcast world, you put your faith out, which is hard. And then I think the second hardest thing for people to do, which I do on this podcast repeatedly, and I get a lot of message about it, about how I talk about it too much, is my failures. And people are like, "You're always too hard on yourself," blah blah blah. But I'm just real with myself,
No,
So if you guys are comfortable with it, maybe what is your biggest hunting failure, and then maybe what is your biggest failure you think that you've done in life. And I can go first if it makes you guys more comfortable. So my biggest hunting failure would be is wanting to hunt big deer before I was prepared to hunt big deer. I feel like I got into the big deer hype pretty early, when there's no content really. YouTube had just started, and I was trying to hunt big deer. I had killed a lot of deer, a lot of does, small bucks, but I feel like I needed a couple more years in that zone of just killing, because when I had that encounter with that first absolute just giant deer, like that world-class whitetail, I wasn't ready. I was not prepared for that moment. Everything that could have been wrong was wrong. My mind wasn't in the right spot. I didn't have faith in myself, and I messed the shot up and completely stopped hunting for a whole entire rest of the season. I shot that deer Thanksgiving weekend and did not pick my bow up until the summer of the next year. And I feel like my biggest failure was getting into the hype of hunting, trying to hunt these big deer before I was ready to. And I feel like if that's not brought up, that a lot of other people, because of podcasts, because of YouTube, are going to go down the same exact path, and they're going to skip those years that we had as hunters where we got to just shoot stuff. Like, you shoot a fork and horn and you didn't post it, like, nobody's going to give you crap. Like, nobody knew. You're just out there just killing stuff. And now you shoot something, you post it, you're going to get some hate. No matter who you are, what you do, what people says, there's going to be hate, animosity to you from people you don't even know. And that's something that we didn't have to deal with, like, at all. Like, and I catch myself doing it sometimes as well. Like, man, I don't know if I would have shot that deer, but you have no idea what that guy's got going on, and I got to stop myself in my tracks and say, hold up, I don't know what this guy's got going. Maybe he had 3 days to hunt this year, and you can only put so much in a Facebook post, and it's really hard to not negatively think, wow, I wouldn't have done that, but you don't know if you would have or not. So I feel like that was my biggest failure as a hunter. I had the years of killing, but I don't think I had enough to prepare me for that moment of, holy shit, this is here, because how many chances you get at a 190, like, in bow range, drawed back, like, very few, if ever, and I had it, and I just completely messed up because I was not prepared for that moment at all. And then for my life one is, I'm a sucker, absolute sucker for being too nice of a guy. I've been burned multiple times from people and maybe it's not the worst thing ever, but it's something that I try to work on. Be a nice guy to an extent that it doesn't damage you. I'm always trying to. I was really big about going out of my way. Making sure that people were taken care of, making sure that my friends were taken care of, making sure everybody else is having a good time. And altering what I would do personally to make sure they had a good time. And that's something, as I age, I'll be 31 as well here in February. I have kids now, and I don't alter what I do at all for anybody else. I just do me. And if you ever met the old guy that just says exactly what he's thinking, and he doesn't care who it offends?
My father.
I think that's just a thing that comes with age. And I'm, like, slowly growing to where I think people just get burned enough where they're almost to a point where they're going to like me or they're not going to like me, and that's where I'm at. Like, I've seen in the industry, not in the industry, me personally, be affected because I had a podcast, because I said something way in the past that someone took offense to, and it's a whole cookie crumble of 5 years of me not even trying to offend someone, and I offend them. And there was times where, like, I was like, man, if I could just talk to the people, but I mean, if you're holding a grudge for 5 years, screw it. Like, it's over. And that's where I'm at now. Like, I just talk to who I want on here. I say what I want. But the main thing that I try to spread is do the right thing, because the right thing's always the right thing, man. Even if it doesn't feel right, it's the next morning you're gonna wake up and you're gonna say, man, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I didn't steal that cam, or I'm glad I didn't take that bad shot, or I'm glad I didn't, go out last night and I was up being able to get up and hunt this morning. But like I said, you gotta have fun too, but just keep the fun. The right fun, I want to say. So that's my spiel. If you guys are uncomfortable doing this is kind of just an idea I had. if you don't want to do a life one, at least do kind of a failure as a hunting. If you guys are open for it.
Yeah,
I'm cool.
I can
Yeah.
figure it
I got
out.
one.
I got something.
Go ahead, Jeff.
So I guess for a hunting failure, when like the really heavy arrow phase came out and it was like new, I jumped on that too. And I had a fairly slow bow. It was an older bow. And, you know, in the back of your mind, you're like, I'm going to shoot 30 yards max, you know. Well, a couple years ago, I had a really nice buck come out at like 40 yards, and I practiced that a little bit in the yard and stuff, but I wasn't as comfortable with that as I would have been 30 and under. Well, you know, I took that shot and I made a bad shot on him. And I tracked that deer for a couple days off and on and just felt terrible about it, you know. So I feel like not being prepared and still stepping outside my comfort zone, it kind of ruined the season, at least for the first half of that for me, just because of, you know, in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, I wounded this deer. I did something I should have done, and I did it anyway, I guess. And then for a life failure, I would say in the past, I hung around people that maybe weren't necessarily Christian, but they weren't bad people. And I could tell that I would drift towards what they would be doing and stuff more than, you know, what I knew was right as well. And hanging out with these guys, and then me and my wife are also in a marriage Bible study. That stuff has really helped me, you know, just hang around good people. You'll have good people. You won't fall into temptations as easily. They're still going to present themselves, but you just know that you have the tools to turn away from that, or you have somebody to, you know, I guess
It's like a backing.
yes, yeah, hold you accountable
Yeah.
for stuff. So
Yeah.
that's really helped me in the last couple of years too. So that'd be mine.
Yeah, so I would say my biggest hunting failure, I would say it's been like being too confident in just like a single property. So I think I would put all my eggs in a basket and just kind of hope that it turned out that way. And I slowly realized that, I mean, people that shoot big deer are never in the same spot. I mean, they're always checking out different places, getting permission different places. I mean, they are really moving. And I think that really changed the game for me when I realized that they're not all sitting in the same tree stand on the same piece of property all day long. And I think that was definitely one big thing for me, is realizing that I got to get out and I got to look around. I got to find, you know, I got to do a lot more work.
You got to step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, there's a big jump in the amount of work you put in, I think, and the amount of deer that you get on, for sure. That was probably my biggest failure. But another thing for me for like the life is, I think I spent way too long trying to be popular in my mind. Like, I wanted everybody to like me. And that was a big downfall for me, because it wasn't who I really was. And I cared way too much about what people thought of me. And once I realized that it did not matter what Joe Schmo thought of me, it didn't change my life at all. And that just kind of getting into who I really was, and, you know, doing the stuff that I wanted to do, whether if it was what everybody else was doing or not, really just allowed me to grow. Actually what led me to my wife and everything else. So seriously, that's one big thing that I preach is, if you feel like it's something that you should be doing, I mean, don't be afraid to be doing what's not popular in your friend group or whatever. And just find what makes you happy and do that and run with it, because you will in the end be a lot more happier when you do that.
You want me to go?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So my biggest hunting mistake would be hunting for other people and not for myself for a very long time. So kind of touching base on that. At first, like everybody else, you shoot the first thing that walks by, and then you start to get a little bit, you know, bigger and bigger and bigger, etc. Well, the year after I killed my 163, sorry, I thought that I had to live up to that. Like, oh, Matt killed a 163, and the year before, you know, he killed like a 140. Like, you got to keep climbing. You got to fill this like pedestal. So I hunted for not the right reasons. And I ended up killing a 120-inch deer the year after in muzzleloader season in Ohio, which is very late. It's like mid-January.
Yeah, January.
And it humbled me, but that was one of the biggest hunting mistakes that I've had, or regrets, would be just hunting for somebody else. So I was obviously hunting for the social media fame, and I was hunting for that big deer, and you don't need to do that. Hunt for yourself, hunt for whatever makes you happy. If you pick up your bow and your heart's just a thumping, shoot that sucker, man. Like I get caught up in the whole like, oh, he's not big enough, like he won't hit a certain number, and I still do that, but it's like, man, I wish I could get over that. Just shoot whatever makes you happy, man. Don't worry about what anybody else thinks on social media. Don't think about, because Cody, you talked a little bit about that earlier. You don't know what somebody that's killing giants every year. Either A, they have the property that's just mecca, or B, they're putting in a ton of work. And maybe you don't have, maybe your life doesn't go down that path where you can put in a ton of work, or you have the property, you don't have the connections, you don't have the money to lease. Man, shoot whatever makes you happy. Don't worry about what, Joe Schmo on social media is doing.
Yeah.
And life would be not doing the Born Again bow hunting thing sooner would be my biggest, because I've always felt like God has had a calling in my life, and I've always felt like I've been lost, and like there's something missing in my life, and I've always tried to replace it with something. Like, so growing up, I was really big into sports and college athlete, and I thought like that was the path, and then God kind of took that away from me, and then I got into cars and was like building cars, and then God took that away from me.
How'd he take that away from you, Matt?
I totaled my car.
You had like, what, 15 grand into that thing?
Yeah, so
you had an oil spot and crashed into a wall.
So, I mean, I've had a lot of ups and downs in life, and I've always tried replacing it with something. Like I always dive head first and I go 110%, but I think I finally found what my calling is, and it's honestly just spreading the word. Yeah. And I wish I would have done that a lot sooner, because I'm a firm believer in, like a lot of people think that God's just this like happy go lucky. Like, I don't believe that at all. Like, God's very just. And if he wants you to go a direction that you're not going, he will tell you about it.
Yeah.
And I've been slapped in the face so many times in life, and I've just never put two and two together until I got a little older and a little bit more mature. And I just wish I would have not cared about what the next guy said or what he thought, and just did the uncomfortable thing, because life's a lot easier now. I mean, it still has its ups and downs. We talk about it all the time, but I just wish I would have done it sooner. But
for myself, like I said, I haven't hunted that much, so this is very surface level and like novice.
Well, what about biggest tournament mistake? Biggest archery tournament mistake?
Thinking about that. Let me
do the hunting one though. You had one.
I have one.
Okay, all right.
I'll do the tournament one too, but like the surface level hunting one is, I just started hunting, and I was going out with like friends because I really didn't have property, and this guy stuck me in a tree stand. And I was like 20 feet in the tree stand, but then there was a ravine, and the ravine was like 20 feet below where the tree stand was.
Feel like you were extremely high.
I didn't even really pay attention to it. I was like, I'm just in a tree stand. And then it's like really nice, like probably 140 buck came out, and I had never really even shot a buck before with my bow. And I had my bow, and this deer was 15 yards away, from with a rangefinder, and I just stuck my 20-yard pin right in the center of him. I was like, oh, this is done. And I shot, and I just went right over his back. And I just took the meat off of it, and I was just such an idiot because like I didn't compensate for like the drop, and I should have put it below his heart and like all this crap. And then the deer just was standing out there like 50 yards in the woods looking at me, and I was like, man, that sucks. So that's my surface level. I don't have any like deep regrets with hunting because I just haven't done it enough.
Yeah.
The tournament one, let me think about that. I have the life one.
What about when you and I were shooting together and you had the state record and you misdialed your sight?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's also service level, but just like simple mistakes, just like, and like the tournament archery thing is like, I can talk about that for an hour, but just like the amount of technical things, like if you go to a high level tournament and you're shooting like the open setups and the stabilizers and the really expensive sights, like Matt can contest to this because he's been doing it more, but like there are so many things that you have to do right to win a tournament like that. And I'm talking like it takes years of experience just to figure out like the little things.
The mental.
And like when you're done with a tournament that day, like it's like you've been taking a math test for 4 hours. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Like, is that not the best sleep of your life when you get done with the tournament?
Yeah, you just want to sleep the whole time.
So, like, but yeah, like just the tournament regrets, like nothing huge, but like just dumb mistakes that I've made to lose tournaments. And just, you know, the experience that you, I mean, and also like you just, unless you're just got that God-given talent, it's just the amount. Okay, let me think about this. So the regrets that I have, and I couldn't help it. Like it was circumstantial because of my life, but I was going to college and I was working a retail job. And if I had endless money, this wouldn't have been a problem. But I missed probably 4, 5, 6 years of shooting tournaments because I worked a retail job. And it was at a pro shop. So I was actually learning how to work on bows and becoming a better bow tech. But like my regret is like I wish I would have maybe found a different way to make money to where I could have shot more tournaments and spent more of my time doing what I actually wanted to do instead of talking to customers about, you know, crap that I didn't want to talk about. So that's partially a life regret. And then the life regret is a tough one for me because I don't want to say I'm trying to live it right now, but I'm trying to figure it out. And it does go like with where it said about wanting to be liked. And I'm starting, I'll plug myself. How's that sound?
Here comes a fat plug.
But I have a business I just started. It's called Third Axis Designs. And it's a 3D printing business. And I make archery accessories and stuff. And I know I'm going to look back at it as some failures because when you're first starting something, you have to fail to grow.
Yep.
And I'm just trying to figure that out like right now and like not worry about what people think and just come out with things that I want to and just, you know, just work harder at it and, you know, just try to figure out how to balance life, tournament archery, if I hunt, if I want to do this through, you know, this individual business and have a family, like just be there for my wife. Like, just figuring all that stuff out. The failures that come with it are hard. But yeah, I'm living in the failures and I'm trying to learn from them as best as I can. So that's where I'm at in my life. And, you know, like I look back on my life and I've worked really hard to get where I'm at, which is still marginal. But I mean, you know, I'm doing it. So it's like, I can't look back and be like, oh, I really regretted this because it's been just a lot of hard work. And, you know, I thought sometimes I want to say college is a big regret. Honestly, I mean, you can say that nowadays because Matt's the same boat. Like you do all this thing going through college and you spend all this money and then you just end up in a job that you don't need the degree for. Yeah. So like
and making more money.
Yeah. So like that can be, you know, I don't want to discourage
more money.
Yeah. I don't want to discourage people, but like that to me sometimes is a regret. And I know that where the job that I'm at, it could take me places. So it's not necessarily a regret, but that did come to my mind when I was thinking about your question, Cody, because I'm like, it sucked and it was a waste of money. And now Joe Biden's not going to forgive it. So I'm really ticked off.
Wait, that
got squashed. That's they put the hold on that. Yeah, he tried to get votes for it, and now they're squashing it. So, but anyway,
it's probably a good thing.
Probably.
Our grandchildren are debt paying that off. Talk about a rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's a rabbit hole.
Let's not go down
that. So yeah, that's me. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So
nice.
But you're just learning all the time, and you're failing every single day. Just trying to get better. And I think everybody here, and Cody yourself, because you're doing it right now at 10:30 at night, but just, you know, figuring life out. So it's, that's my spiel.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys all sharing that. It's crazy how a lot of our life things are corresponding there. And I know there's some younger guys that listen to this, and this is kind of a different podcast than I normally have, but I know you guys just, you know, affected one of those guys to say, man, maybe I need to start just doing my thing. And people always said like 30 to me just seems so damn old when I was 18, 19, you know, and now I'm 30 and dude, I feel so young. Like I feel I'm ready to rip, bro. I'm ready to get after it, you know, and I get after it every day. Like, I mean, 5 days a week. I work, I go to the gym, I come home, I'm full send with my kids. But you know, Forrest Gump, man, life's what you make it. You know, or that's yeah, that. There's a lot of meaning behind that. You know, so I appreciate you sharing that. Like I said, this is a different podcast than I normally have, but I'm really enjoying it, dude. I feel like I'm in the room with you guys, just chilling, hanging out. You know, I feel kind of refreshed after. It's hard to talk about the hard things, and I think that's what I'm going to name this podcast, somewhere around there. You know, talking about the hard things or something like that, because you know, what better way to do it than where thousands of people can listen to it too? Like that's because you're gonna have that impact, and when you guys wanted me to have on, I said, man, I want to have you guys on and kind of have the same impact that you guys are searching for on my show, and then say, hey, if you guys are looking for to get this connection every more often, you guys got to go check out their show because this is what they do. I'm more of a content, learn how to kill these dang things because I can't seem to get it done efficiently. And I feel like you're kind of in that same realm, but you have the underlying message of this is who we are and this is what we stand for. So
Yeah.
again, huge shout out to you guys for taking that message and sending it out there to the airwaves where people that want to hear the message and want to connect with guys like you have the opportunity. It's not hidden, it's out there to say, yeah, this is us, this is and I'm sure if someone messaged you guys, like if someone had something in life going through that they were having struggles with, I always say, message me, dude. I'm open book. I'm here to help you talk. I've said that hundreds of times, But for you guys talking about that stuff openly, you're going to get more messages than I am about people that need that. There's something about talking. Like you can talk to your family, or you can talk just a good dude. Just like that good dude that you call when you just want to chat something out. And I feel like all four of you guys are that dude and gonna be that dude for somebody because of your podcast. So
Yeah, I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
we
Yeah,
all
we
appreciate that.
yeah, what better way to connect with a hunter that needs that? Someone that you already have a lot in common. He's listening to your show about hunting, but now he's got maybe he just got married or he just had his first kid or he's looking for some advice maybe about college or about anything, and you can just say, hey, I'm gonna shoot you straight. This is what I think. Could be wrong, could be right. And you can bring that to them. I don't know how often you guys release a podcast or plan on it, but you can bring it to
try.
them.
It's once a week.
Yeah, pretty consistently. Where they have a place to go in and hit those questions.
So I'm just going to interrupt real quick because I want to talk about this, and I think it's I think it's a good time to talk about it. So we had the Indiana hunt where I talked about my experience. Kev, which episode is that?
That was the last one, 18, I believe.
Okay, so episode 18. I'll talk a little bit about it here, but I don't want to beat the dead horse because we already had a full podcast about it. But if anyone is wanting to learn a little bit more, first of all, we talked about hunting, and when we went to Indiana, we were successful. We arrowed a buck, killed a buck, and we're on like absolute giants on public land, like 160 pluses. So it was a very fun hunt. So first of all, obviously it's going to pull you in from the deer aspect of things. But if anybody wants to listen to just a crazy spiritual experience, please check out that podcast because I had one of the craziest spiritual experiences or conversations with God while hunting that I feel like I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and I feel like we talked a little bit about it before where God's kind of slapped me in the face and wanted me to go a direction that I've never wanted to go because I was uncomfortable or I didn't think it was popular or whatever. Everybody battles demons, right? Like everybody's got that one thing that they just can't beat, and it's like always bringing them down. Like I've got one that just drives me nuts. I've got one thing that I just wish I could fix about myself. And like we said earlier, nobody's perfect. We're not claiming we're perfect. And I've been battling this demon for a long time, man. And God, he really opened my eyes, and he did it so by taking a deer away from me. So I don't know why I've just been not like wanting to do the videos, and I need to just sit down and do them. And I just, something about it, just, I'm afraid I'm not going to produce it the right way or something. Like, I don't know. I just need to sit down and do it. But basically, once I produce that video series, it'll be on YouTube. And I'm shooting a 70-pound bow. I'm shooting just shy of 600 grain
It's a
arrow
heavy arrow.
with 150 cut on contact kudu point and a 75 grain outsert at the end of my arrow. So tons of FOC. Like, I'm not getting in that crazy ranch fairy arrow, but like a very, very good
cut on contact.
Heavier than the average Joe.
Very like, that's a killing arrow, you know. And I had that arrow bounce. And when I say bounce, I mean bounce off of a deer, 130, deep, mile in on public, big timber. Like, I'm telling Cody, like, I'll send you a Snapchat, or I'll send you a little clip of it. When I say bounce, I mean this arrow legitimately landed 8 feet behind, like hit the deer and then bounced 8 feet towards me. And it was, nothing else can be explained, but God,
a lesson was needing to be learned.
A lesson needed to be learned.
That was that slap in the face you were looking for.
And sometimes, like, as Christians, we need to realize that, Cromer and I talk about this a lot, like, the bad experiences that we have, don't just chalk them up as like, oh, well, I had a bad day. Like, maybe dig a little bit deeper and realize, like, maybe it's because I did X, Y, and Z, or like, maybe it's because I did this. And I'm not saying always.
No, and I think this is my opinion on that, is if you take a bad experience and you reflect on your own life and you're like, you know what, these two things could be together, and you change the negative thing in your life, how is that not positive?
It's a positive.
It's
exactly.
positive. So it's like, if you're, you know, and a lot of people aren't this aware of their own lives, and then they're just doing what they want to do, and they don't think about the good and the bad
consequences.
I think it's not a bad thing that you have a negative experience, you reflect on your own life, and then that's how you can make things more positive for you. That's how you can turn out to be more positive. I'm not saying that God did that to you exactly like that, because
and that's what
you're being punished. And I know you're not, but I think maybe somebody might have taken it like that. Take it like that.
Clarifying.
We're not saying that God's punishing you. You got to turn your life around. I'm just saying, like, if you are mature enough to reflect on your own life, this happened, you know, maybe that's
because of X, Y,
maybe,
Z,
you know, and it's a good thing.
It's a good thing. And that's another thing, like how Cody talked about people getting on him because they say he's too negative on himself. I think it's a big thing to, regardless of if it's something spiritual in your life or just any situation, you need to realize the things that you did wrong, and that's how you fix them, whether it's hunting a big deer or it's a life decision. I mean, it's a good thing to recognize the negatives in your life, because that is what pushes change.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so that's a big thing.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're good.
I was going to touch base, like, when Cody, you said that, I think it was in this podcast, it might have been the other one, I can't remember. You said that people bash on you sometimes for you know, being negative on yourself. I mean, it takes a big man to sit here and on a podcast where multiple people are listening and say, this is what I did wrong. Because everybody in today's society there's excuses for everything.
And it's look at what I did right.
And it's exactly, it's always like, hey, look what I did right. Like, name how many hunting shows out there never show the bad shots, never show the, you know, wounded deer, never show the mistakes.
We'll never know.
It's always success. And I'm just tired of it, man, because that's not life.
And it's not relatable.
It brings the expectation way too high for the average person that can't compete with that, and they don't see what, you know, the failures that those people have done to start with.
Well, it's like today's Instagram. That's what Instagram is. Like, it's your highlights of your life, and that's what and you know, that's what every single person is striving for, is just, oh, that person has a perfect life. Look at their social media, look at their Instagram, everything's going great.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like maybe we're giving people the other side of it, and so is Cody when he talks about the negative things. Like
Right.
here's real life.
Here's real life.
Here's
boys.
real life.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Sometimes we suck.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, like it's just the truth.
So hopefully I hope people relate to that, and I hope people want that. And that's what that's kind of what we're not here for, but that's
For real.
That's part of what we're doing.
That's the message.
It's
though,
real
man.
life, man.
Nobody's perfect. We're not saying that we're perfect.
Yeah.
And like there's not one person on this earth that's perfect.
Nope.
Period.
There was one.
There was one.
There was one.
But I'm saying not currently.
No, sir.
And it's like, it's okay to make mistakes. Just learn from them.
Yeah.
And don't make the same mistake constantly.
Right.
Those are the demons that I'm talking about. Don't like for people that maybe aren't as comfortable with what we're talking about. Don't reflect on me saying a demon and think like literally.
Yeah. No, we're not.
It's not like a demonic figure. I'm talking about those stupid mistakes that you make every single day that is not right. But you keep doing them. That is your daily demon.
Yeah.
It's not like this monster trying to kill you every day.
Well, hopefully not.
It could be.
I hope not.
But we don't want that.
We hope not.
But I'm just saying, like, those are the demons that people need to fight.
Yeah.
And like you say, Cody, all the time, like, just do the right thing, man.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the easiest way for me to sum it up with, I don't know how many episodes I've said that where, man, like I said, a lot of times the right thing feels wrong. Like you're like, man, I want to do this, but the right thing is always the right thing, So, just touching base on, the talking about my failures is, I think it's extremely valuable. Like we had mentioned kind of off air about, the name of this podcast and why I continue to do this podcast. If my kids hear me talk about a failure, I feel like if someone has a personal connection with you, and I do believe I have some listeners that have a very personal connection with me because they've listened to me so long, I feel like that conversation, it will stick with them way longer than this is the failure and this is how I overcame it, then, man, I just did this absolutely perfect, and it was money. Because you have those situations as well. But, if your dad set you down and said, I really struggle with this, and this is how I got through it, that's going to really have an impact on you other than your dad saying, man, I never had a problem with that at all. I just plugged right along. But, people can have this podcast and think I'm a super successful hunter. They look at the Instagram following or whatever, TikTok following and this and that. But I say on here, I'm literally recording this on my kitchen table right now. I still got 2 bowls of cereal that my kids ate half of that I need to get rid of before I lay down and go to sleep tonight. I got 4 kids. I got to wake up and go to work tomorrow morning. I haven't killed a buck yet this year. I just straight up honest with people. I'm just as normal can get, just a dude that creates content on Wednesday and releases it. Like that's the only difference between me and you. But over the years I've tried to consistently work on myself, and I feel like that's where 95% of people are missing the ball completely, whether it's your spiritualness, your being a better friend, your healthiness, as you're working on your job, whatever it is. Like, you can work on yourself in many different ways, but I have 4 kids that I have to take care of and provide, and they take a lot of my time, but I make sure and prioritize making sure that I'm solid, because if I'm not solid, I'm not going to be solid for them. There's just no possible way, And
as a dad, huge.
Yeah, and I tell my wife, like, my vacation and my hunting, she lets me get kind of carried away and hunt, really, really hard. But she understands that I kind of need that. Like, that's my deal. That's my thing. That's how I reset and regroup. And my kids do they're getting into it hardcore. Like, they're edging it right now. So, I had this theory when I told my wife, I said, man, if I didn't love killing big bucks so much, and I didn't love the chase of the big deer, when my kid started hunting, I would go to a longbow and start my transition all over where I start shooting a forked horn and I start shooting a 6-pointer, and then I just work up as he's working up, and we're doing it together. I think that'd be so cool. I make it, he's got a crossbow and we're trying to get stuff done, and then I got a longbow just to make it. I'm trying to kill a doe, like I'm trying to get something out here, and that might be something I do in the future. But maybe I got 4 kids, so maybe if my 3rd kid wants to go hunt, I got one of them's gonna like it. Hopefully, I got a good shot, 25% shot that one of them's gonna dig it. But
It's funny.
you always see that old dude out there that's just he's got the longbow, never really kills anything, and he's just in it for a different reason. And I can see myself eventually getting to that point. But right now, I'm so obsessed with the actual game and pursuit of chasing these giant bucks that I can't get away from it. But I see myself fading every year a little bit, where I'm just like, man, it'd be fun. That would be different, or just trying different things like hunting off the ground or different states. So
see, that's what I was saying, the bouncing around the states, man. That's because like when we go on out-of-state hunts as a group, there are no expectations, man. Like,
that's something I wanted to wrap up at the end of this. You guys had a messaged me earlier in the year and asked if I'd be interested in this. Are you guys going to do the challenge again next year?
oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Give me the details on when you're planning that, and I'm going to try to make that happen.
Woo, dude, that would be
That'd be
so
sweet.
much fun.
Yeah, that would be badass. Just talking with you guys the last couple hours, almost 3 hours here. I know that it would be an awesome weekend, awesome time. So I could definitely try to make that happen. Especially if you give me a good advance, I can pretty much. That's what I always tell the companies I work with. I'm like, you guys need something out of me. I'm gonna come through, but you need to give me like a couple weeks advance, to give me time to make it happen. Because time's my smallest percentage of what I have to give to anybody. But yeah, that would be an absolute blast. And we can hype it up and make it a really fun adventure for all of us. So.
Dude, let's
That'd
please.
be awesome.
I'm holding you to your word.
Yeah,
man.
dude. Let me know. I got some plans for some hunts next year that I already got the okay from the wife, and I might axe 1 or 2 of those to make that happen. So
I'll even be nice and drop you a couple pins.
yeah, I'll get out there and I'll make something happen. I have the drive of a 18-year-old male. In a 30-year-old male body. I just have no I have no quit in me for some reason. It's either, like I said, it's either just will or stupidity. I'm not real sure, but I just keep going and keep going and keep going. Yeah.
He's been watching Liver King eating raw liver.
I'm not eating raw liver, man. I'm not eating raw liver. He just got busted with that
I
email
know,
link.
that's
I seen that. I'm like, if anybody that believed that would.
I heard it was like $12,000 a month in roids is what he was on.
Yeah,
So-
I heard 10. Yeah, I heard 10.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you heard $10,000 a month. Yeah. And he said he's doing it by eating raw meat and
Yeah.
bull testicles.
And he's selling all the ground up bull testicles, and people are buying them.
So that's why I think Cody's just been eating the bull testicles.
Yeah.
And I think he's just got the testosterone, the raw testosterone.
The only thing I eat is bull testicles and coffee. That's it. Black coffee and bull testicles is how I survive. All right. Someone's gonna just accidentally bump to 1 hour in to see what this thing's about. And they're gonna hear black black coffee and bull testicles. They're gonna be like, well, what? I'm shutting this off.
Put in the show notes. Just you click on,
for good content. 1 hour in is
What a laugh.
premium. So, all right, guys. Well, I appreciate you coming on and letting your message get out on my show. And I want to do a big push that anybody is looking for this kind of content and still looking for that, hunting camp vibe feel where you're out with your buddies, but striving for that content that you guys are going to provide to listen to your show and follow your videos. And like I said, I'm excited to make sure that I can make this challenge happen wherever it's going to be. I'm probably going to show up in a work car with 236,000 miles with a pop-up tent and a bow and drag out a 170, so you guys better be prepared.
I love it. Challenge accepted.
All right, guys. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yep, thank you.
All right, guys. So there it is. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. A little different, like I said, than we normally do, but it was really fun to just have. I've been doing a lot of tactic-driven podcasts where where we're talking whitetail, we're really in the game, and it was fun just to kind of cut loose with this, talk about some life stuff, some lessons learned for them, hunting and life in general, and just kind of have a relaxed conversation with these guys. That was really, really fun to me. I'm going to be having a lot of people on here coming soon, and then I also have another series coming that I'm going to do probably February, March-ish, April. It's going to be something different, going to be fun, and hopefully something that is more informational based. But I'm going to get these guests on here, talk some late season hunting, and then also just have some BS sessions with some people that I want to talk to. I've been doing this podcast long enough. I just want to have people on I want to talk to and have fun, and hopefully you guys get some entertainment or some knowledge out of it. But hopefully this podcast, opened it up, maybe made you guys think about something different. And if you guys are looking for more of this kind of content, make sure and check out them at Born Again Bowhunting. They have a podcast. They have multiple different platforms to check out. So appreciate you guys tuning in all the way to the end. Like always, I love you guys. Appreciate all the support this year. The podcast numbers were outstanding. You guys really did your part on showing up for me this year on the podcast. I hope that I brought the content for you guys and had an impact on your hunting season like I hope I did. And I hope you enjoyed it and got some entertainment, some laughs, and some knowledge out of it, because that's what I'm doing this for at 11:30 at night here. So I'm going to get off here and hop in the shower and get ready for another day. Always do the right thing. Try to leave a legacy, and Whitetail Legacy is out.